All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on now to the NFC Championship game. The Buccaneers beat the Packers 31-26, something I predicted 2 weeks ago, but completely backed off of last week just because I thought the Packers looked so good against the Rams. And clearly, there's a lot to unpack in this game. I think the main thing that we should discuss is whether or not Coach LaFleur for the Green Bay Packers, the head coach, messed up not going for it late in the fourth quarter when it was, I believe it was like 4th and 3, or maybe it was a 4th and goal. I'm not sure. Um, Instead, they kick the field goal late and they don't get the ball back because of a pass interference call. That I mean, okay. So we could talk. We'll talk about Lafleur kicking the field goal, and then we'll talk about the all the non calls and then the call. I'm curious to hear after kind of sitting in the moment. I know that we were both very frustrated and upset with it. I am curious to see if after some time to reflect on that, if your opinions changed or not. So what do you think about LaFleur's decision to kick the field goal instead of going for it with Aaron Rodgers?
I do think that they should have went for it, in my opinion. I mean, as much as they did have a good chance of getting one more stop, after that drive, um, Tom Brady in moments that matter almost go Tom Brady's way, no matter what. And we've seen it again and again. And very recently, this past weekend, that sometimes Tom Brady will even get the edge off a technicality. So I really think they should have went for it on fourth down with Aaron Rodgers. I really think they should have put the pressure on Tom Brady rather than just have it to where he only needed to get 10 yards rather than get, the 60 or 70 yards they would need to go downfield and score again. So I really think they should have went for it, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers, especially when you have Devontae Adams, especially when you had, Williams who's actually playing well after Aaron Jones got hurt. So I think they had ways to score on that fourth down, and they even had a way to score on that third down, have Aaron Rodgers just look right rather than kept throwing across his body. So there was a lot of small things that could have easily changed the outcome of this game. It's definitely not a surprise to those who have been cheering against them in the AFC that games like this come down to the wire with Tom Brady. But yeah, in my opinion, overall, I think Green Bay should have went for it on fourth down and just really put it on Bruce Arians' heels to call the right plays on the final drive rather than say, well, we got Tom Brady and we'll just let him call the go-to play to get 10 yards.
I do agree. In the moment, for a second, when I was watching it, I understood kicking the field goal, but now looking back on it, let's say that they don't get the touchdown or the first down, whichever it was in that situation, and you would be down 31-23, right? You're down 8. It's still a one-score game, and you don't convert, right? Then you are pinning Tom Brady and that Buccaneers offense inside the 10-yard line with a pretty good chance to play the field position game, right? For those who don't know, when I say the field position game, I just mean if the Packers were to stop the Buccaneers, um, which is more than likely going to happen, because if you're pinned inside the 10-yard line right there, I don't envision with a non-mobile quarterback the Buccaneers really throwing the football. I think they would have run 3 straight plays and then punted the football away. Maybe run 2 and then had Brady throw it on, third down, whatever it was, right? I think you have a better chance at stopping them inside the 10 than you do inside the 30 or whatever, right? Then you can force a punt. If the bad pass interference call that we talked about, that I mentioned previously, doesn't get called, you punt, and then Green Bay has the ball on the 50 if it's, goes their way. So I think that in that situation, you really should just play the field position battle, go forward on fourth down, and then, go for 2. Look, you kick the field goal, you're down a score anyways. So what's the difference? I just, now let's talk about the non-call. Okay. So people, and myself included, we weren't upset that Um, we weren't upset at the call because it was the correct call.
But the timing.
It's the fact that you let them play the entire game with multiple holding calls that are just ignored. Hell, Aaron Rodgers' only interception of the game came on a pass interference call. It's clearly blatant pass interference or defensive holding or whichever one you want to call it. To me, it's almost the same freaking thing. Like, if I just I don't like the timing of it. And maybe, and this really is going to get to the conspiracy theorist out there. Oh, it's rigged for Tom Brady.
Well, it doesn't
I
help
don't,
that the refs spent 20 seconds discussing before they even threw that flag.
yeah. And I don't, look, I disagree with the call. Um, Look, the Packers were down anyways by 5 at that point. They were down by what the final score ended up being, 31-26. There's no guarantee that if they don't get that and the Bucks punt it away, there's no guarantee that the Packers score and win the game, right?
True.
Um, and in my opinion, look, I've coached football in the past and I've been on the opposite end of some crappy calls. I know we all have, right? I always tell the team, and this is a philosophy I do live by, at least in football. If you didn't play well enough to win without the bad call, then you didn't play well enough, period. If that one call decides the game, that's more an indictment on the team.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to, this is where I'm going to segue into Aaron Rodgers throwing, or, only throwing three touchdowns, right? I know he had a good stat line. I just feel like he could have done more for this reason. If Tom Brady, if you were to tell me that the Buccaneers would have won and Brady would have thrown 3 interceptions, I would have been like, you're crazy. If Aaron Rodgers has a chance to capitalize off of 3 turnovers, then there's no way in hell the Packers are going to lose this game. And they didn't capitalize. They kicked field goals. They just didn't score. And Brady, I mean, the first half, Brady played great. The second half, he was not good at all. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And, people want to act like, oh, Brady did this for the Bucks. He definitely helped. And he's definitely, like, there are things that you can't really measure on the field, like leadership, the intangibles and whatnot. But Brady's not the only reason they won this game. I mean, the Buccaneers defense played great. To hold the Packers to 26 points when your quarterback is basically handing Aaron Rodgers free points, like, so just a lot to unpack from what I said, but I want to know your thoughts.
It was a good game. I will say that. I definitely undermined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seeing them being that 5th seed, entering the playoffs, just pulling off their win against the Washington football team near the second half. I was like, I could see them being a good team, but I didn't see them being a great team. But all these guys who we know are veterans, who all were in the Pro Bowls, sometime between 2011 and 2015, they really stepped up for Tom Brady and they really stepped up for each other. This is a team that says we're not done. We're here to win still. We think we have the best quarterback now. We think Bruce Arians is a veteran coach who can call the right plays. And if not, we have Tom Brady who can, because he's been in the league just as long as he has, if not longer. We have Chris Godwin, we have Mike Evans, both guys who have been to the Pro Bowl at least once, I believe. I know Mike Evans has. I don't know if Chris Godwin has or not, but I know both these guys are pretty much playing as top receivers in the NFL. So to have both those guys there for Tom Brady. On top of that, you have Rob Gronkowski, who's been Tom Brady's go-to since 2011, 2012, I don't know, something like that. He's been his go-to tight end for so many years, and he's not even the best tight end on their team. So this was a team that was really talented. We thought Father Time was not only going to get Tom Brady this year, but also some of his teammates, as we said, were, they were a bigger deal in the 2012 to 2015 range. But all these guys really stepped up this year, and I have to give props where props is due. All these guys can play. Pierre-Paul, he can play. Tom Brady, he can play. Rob Gronkowski, he can play. All these guys that were, tinkering with retirement, came back from retirement, should be retiring. They can still play. On the Green Bay side of things, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of help. He's done so much with just Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, which people don't realize in the NFL, as great as it is to have one good wide receiver and a good running back, it's almost not enough anymore in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, we talk about how great he is as a quarterback, but he has Travis Kelce, who you can arguably say is the best tight end in the league. He has Tyreek Hill, who you can arguably say is a top 5 wide receiver now in the NFL. He's got that going on. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, one of the best number 2 wide receivers in the NFL. Like, he's a solid, check down receiver, solid, finding the holes in his own coverage type of receiver. So he really complements Stephon Diggs and makes life easier for Josh Allen. Then you got Russell Wilson, who has Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. If one doesn't do good, guess what? He can throw 200 yards to the other guy. So it's kind of a luxury to actually have multiple weapons. And really, it's for, if you're a fan of the Green Bay Packers, you must be frustrated because Aaron Rodgers could easily be one of those quarterbacks that has the same amount of weapons. He easily could have been, because Green Bay had a solid, first round pick last year that they used on a quarterback out of Utah State. No disrespect to Jordan Love at all, but he's not going to help Green Bay win games now. And Green Bay, they're a team that's made it to back-to-back NFC Championship games. They're ready to win now. They're not waiting on another Aaron Rodgers 2.0 to be, to help them win in 2030. They're ready to win now in 2021 and 2022. So I think for them, it's a little frustrating to know that they're, as knowing that they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they don't have one of the best offensive units in the NFL. And that's, I think, what's hurting them. I think defensively they got a little bit better. I think there's only so much you can do against a really talented Tom Brady-led offense that has a lot of these, star players, as we said, for Tampa Bay. But I think Green Bay, knowing that they were this close to coming back and winning against the Buccaneers, knowing that they could have gotten their first NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field for Aaron Rodgers, I think we're going to see them be a lot more aggressive this offseason to get him the right players.
Yeah, they should be aggressive. I mean, I feel like that's a very common theme. Like I said when we were talking about the AFC Championship, the more aggressive coach won. I don't think that Brady's the more aggressive quarterback, but the more aggressive coach won. I mean, and sometimes aggression isn't what you need. Running cover one man with 8 seconds left, knowing Brady's going to throw it deep, isn't exactly what you want to be doing as far as aggression's
Definitely
concerned.
not ideal. No,
Yeah,
not when Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans are lined up somewhere at the same time.
That play when with 8 seconds left in the half, where Brady threw it to Scotty Miller for a touchdown, just that too is just it's such a backbreaking play. I mean, especially like if you literally just sit and cover 2 man, all problems are avoided right there. And then they have to call a quick timeout and kick a field goal, and then maybe the whole course of the game has changed. But the Packers defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin, definitely not a great game for him, and not a great game for the cornerback, Kevin King, I believe his name is. He just constantly getting. I don't expect him to be on their roster next year, and if he is, I don't expect him to be playing. So, man, and it was all in all, Rodgers did all he could, and it's got to be frustrating when your defensive coordinator screws up, your head coach kicks a field goal, and you don't get to go for it on 4th down. It just and you don't have a number 2 receiver. When we were watching the game, I pointed out something. I don't know if you caught me. I said one of these other number 2 receivers is going to screw up. They always do. There's always a key drop, and sure enough, on a 2-point conversion that Green Bay went for, that could have changed the whole course of the game. It dropped, right? And that is the problem with the Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the Alan Lazards of the world. They always seem to mess up in a big moment, and they always have a key drop here and there. And I really, really hope that the Packers make a run in free agency at a receiver, or they go up and draft one in the first round of the draft. And it doesn't even have to be in the first round of the draft. It could be in the second or third round. This is such a deep receiver class where you can get a really good receiver in the later rounds. It's just frustrating to see. As a fan of Aaron Rodgers, I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm getting so tired of Brady just constantly winning, right?